You've been told that black Americans are being violently victimized by white Americans.
White supremacy.
White supremacy. White supremacist terrorism.
White supremacy.
White supremacy.
Every major media.
One of the reasons I started making videos was to address white supremacy.
So you've just seen the thumbnail, right? And in today's video, we are going to talk about the blacks versus the white, in the white Americans versus the black Americans, literally, because the clips that you're going to play is all about that. And we are going to look at it in this perspective, politically, culturally, and statistics when it comes to crime and many other things. So let us watch the following videos, and then now I will come back and say more or just react on these particular videos. So let's watch.
I know I'm going to be accused of being reverse racist for saying this, but it's absolutely true. The conversations I'm having with my white friends right now, not all of them, but a lot of them, and the conversations I'm having with my black friends are very different. A lot of my white friends want to pretend that everything's fine with our nation, that everything's normal, that Donald Trump is normal, and that there's nothing to see here. Whereas my black friends are living at DEFCON 5, red alert every day, recognizing that we have a madman at the helm of our nation who's driving this ship into the ground right in front of our eyes. And it's just a very stark difference in these conversations. And I am seeing more and more white folks waking up to the reality that we're living in. But the black folks I know, they are eyes wide open and have been for a long time.
It sucks to be a white American. Now hold on, give me a chance, let me explain. I want you to think of the kind of person who would put on a White Lives Matter sticker on the back of their Ford pickup. Why do they do that? Is it all racism? Well, yeah. But I think it goes a lot deeper than that. White Americans basically have no culture. Not in the same way we see other people. And we white people, we know this inherently, and it scares us. We know we have our regional cultures. Our cities, our sports teams, and families all give us our regional culture, but being white basically means nothing. Or generally at least nothing positive. White people throughout American history are almost always seen on the side of the oppressors. Not all white people, but most of us. And this sucks to learn. It's even harder to internalize. And it's why white people usually don't accept this, because it makes us feel a deep sense of guilt. I think it's why white people say nonsense like, I can't be racist, I have black friends. Sure, you probably don't see black people as objects, but you're refusing to accept the role our people have had in their oppression. That guilt we feel is our responsibility for the actions of our ancestors. It's why white people refuse to say that black people deserve reparation, because it admits our guilt. But black people deserve reparations. It just makes sense logically. You can sue someone for scratching your car, but black people can't sue the American government for the enslavement of their people. My people are arresting and deporting Mexican families from this country. Think about that. We are telling people that they are not allowed on the land we stole. Let's go a step further. White people stole a sacred land site from the people indigenous to this land and then carved 4 white people's faces on it, most of which were slave owners. I mean, Mount Rushmore is a place that we look at and we're like, oh cool, giant faces. But to other people, it's a giant form of oppression, and admitting that and coming to terms with that sucks. We suck, dude. My people really and truly suck. Not all of us contributed to this oppression, but we are all a part of it. And this will mostly sound like virtue signaling. It will mostly sound like, look at how rough we are. But there is a reality to admitting this guilt and being honest with it. Because white people are afraid to do this. And we're afraid to admit it because my people are weak. White people are weak. We have power we have given ourselves, and put down the cultures that are stronger than us because we know that we're weak. If white Americans were oppressed the same way black, native, or Mexican American people are, we would crack like glass. Our culture and identity as white people is so meaningless that we do everything in our power to keep other people down so that we don't break from having someone else on top. I think that's why you see white Americans championing white pride, not just out of ignorance or racism, but it's because they are scared. They're scared to come to terms with their guilt, scared to admit they're wrong, and terrified to acknowledge that we may have all the societal, economic, and political power, but as a people we are weak. But this isn't the way it has to be forever. I have hope that one day my people will finally take responsibility for what we have done. I hope that we'll collectively accept our role in the oppression of our non-white brothers and sisters and finally take action. And it will take the action of us white folks. It's not just non-white people that have to fight for their rights. It's us too fighting for them, because our cross to bear is being born white. Being born with the skin color of the oppressors means that we have to fight to be nothing like them. We're not near that right now. America is in a tumultuous stage where it very much does not feel like white people are acknowledging where they went wrong. But I want to have hope, and I refuse to accept that one day justice won't prevail. Collectively, we can all shed the shadow of oppression and share this place together. And that's the message I want to end with. I want to be hopeful that one day oppression will be something taught in history class, something that we don't have to see ourselves in. That's my hope. Anyway, I want to be optimistic in the end. Anyway, that's it. Thanks.
We don't use white men's crime statistics against them enough for me. I'm not gonna hold you. It makes no sense for y'all to constantly preach pattern recognition and statistics, but then your worst stereotype for black women is being loud, driving Nissan Altimas, and having baby daddies, but your worst statistics is mass shootings and touching kids. I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. That makes no sense to me. That makes absolutely zero fucking sense to me. You are known for touching kids. You make up the kids touching rates. Most of the kids touching rates. And you're mad at me because I wear wigs and weaves. Like, shut the fuck. And the same thing when it comes to like talking about the way black women look or how big they are. We outlive white men. I don't care. We outlive white teen men. I don't give a fuck. Right? If all it takes for me to outlive you an extra 3 years is for me to lose weight, right? I don't think you should be talking. That makes no damn sense to me that y'all don't be using them niggas statistics enough against them for real. Y'all don't be precious enough for me. Y'all really the fuck don't, because ain't no way y'all be doing the things y'all doing and then got the nerve to talk about any motherfucking body, especially black women. That makes absolutely no sense.
I said that we're currently watching America versus America and that white people are currently engaged in a civil war with themselves. They just don't know it. And then I asked if this was the downfall of the United States. And this person said, I think it's a catalyst because while many of them don't have built up resilience like black people do, they also don't have the knowledge of how to fight against things like this. Too many people not on the same page. There's no one band, one sound. This is because white people are not tribal. Black people are tribal. And tribes use drums to communicate, which is why black people have one band, one sound. This is also why black people are the best when it comes to organizing. I mean, look at Target. They got a little bit froggy. Somebody started beating on a drum. Now the CEO is stepping down. White people don't fight well because they're not tribal. They're always fighting each other. And white people don't organize well because, again, they're not tribal. I see this all the time in my day job. I work with a lot of advocacy groups, and the most effective group at organizing is black people. This is also why you don't see the same response from Latinos and why you don't see the same response from Asians. Good God, you don't really see much of any response from Asians. But you know the next group that's really fast at organizing? Natives, because they are still inside their tribes. One band, one sound.
What does it mean to be white in America at this moment? Let's talk about it. To be white in America is to exist outside of race, right? Like, white people don't regularly refer to themselves as white. They're just people. But black people are black and brown people are brown. Everybody else is a race, but white people are not. American society treats whiteness as the default, and then everybody else deviates from that, right? So whiteness is kind of like a measuring stick. How far are you away from whiteness? The closer you are to it, the better. The more privileges you're afforded in society. But the further away from it, the worse. White people, generally speaking, aren't made to like mold or acquiesce to others. They're not made to share in space with people. In fact, I'd argue that a lot of white people don't care to share space with others, don't care to be in community with people outside of whiteness, right? They're the default, they're the standard, and other people have to mold themselves around them and mold themselves around whiteness. In fact, I'd argue to be white is to like not have to think or talk about race at all unless you want to. Race is like a mantle that certain people can take up if they're white, but like if you don't want to talk about it and you're white, you do not have to. Oftentimes, white people are looking for brownie points, like especially the progressives or the leftists, and so they'll put up a Black Lives Matter sign in their lawn, or they'll start dating a black person, or they'll tell you, I would have voted for Obama for a third term. But again, those are things they can put away. They can put on this desire to care about race, but then shed it when they don't want to. They can take it off. I can't take off my blackness, right? If you're black or brown or Asian or Middle Eastern, you can't like shrug that off. You can't exist as the standard in society. But white people can. That's like a defining feature of whiteness. I think that's what makes whiteness such a privilege. You don't have to think about the things that are plaguing everyone else all the time. Which is to say, race is not their problem. It's everyone else's. At the end of the day, white people are white first, and then members of humanity second, or maybe even last, which is what we saw last week. We saw a horde of influencers and celebrities and your neighbors mourning the death of someone who harmed so many people in the black and brown and Asian and Middle Eastern communities. And they didn't really care about it. Like last week, your white friends and family and neighbors and coworkers and celebrities and influencers prioritized their fidelity to whiteness, their fidelity to supremacy, over their relationship to you. And that should matter to you. And that should make you think. And it's gonna make me think. And it makes me remind you to stay woke, right? Know who your friends are, because whiteness is the most important thing to some people.
But I would like to say what scares us is I think we hear violence.
The young lady said she's afraid of violence. And isn't it sad that we who have been the victims of so much violence, now whites fear violence from us? We do not have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. See? And what you fear, may I say this, sir? What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing, that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
Once you start doing a deep dive and actually looking up and understanding these statistics, you will see that white people are some of the biggest hypocrites ever. Let's take black on black crime, for example. Historically, 85% of all white murders are done by another white person. For black people, it's around 88%, so it's not that much off. Now, we can talk about sex crimes such as rape and stuff like that, right? They make up nearly 70%. God damn. And I love how they try to fear monger against black people. Oh, we're violent, we're this and that. Listen, don't worry about us unaliving y'all. Worry about them drugs. Bro, they account for nearly 70% of drug overdoses since like 2015. Like, this shit is crazy, but they try to put the blame on us. No, bro, I know statistics. They can't hit me with that, bro.
White people, please listen to me. If a black person invites you to one of their barbecues, trust me when I tell you this, they don't want your food. They don't want your dried out chicken or your idea of what a casserole is. Trust me, they got the food covered, okay? I'm sorry to tell you this, and black people, I'm sorry for spilling the tea on this, but listen, if a black person asks you to one of their barbecues, it's because they want you to be their token white person, okay? They want to make sure that if the cops get called for some stupid reason, you could pop your head up like a meerkat, and the cop will be like, oh, okay, so there's a white person here. Either they've got to pretend to behave themselves around a white person, or they just will figure like everything's okay. And I'm sorry if this sounds prejudiced, and I'm sorry if it sounds racist, but you know, it's just the way it is. So if black people invite you to a barbecue, be respectful and just don't bring any of your food, because no one's gonna eat it anyway. They're just gonna like push it off to the side and maybe give it to their dog for the next couple of days. Am I wrong, black people? Please tell me if I'm wrong. I'd like to know, but I think that I'm right. I feel that I'm right, and I think that I'd like to hear what the black community has to say, what black people have to say, and white people. Just keep your food at home.
In case you're new here, I want to make it very clear where my husband and I stand in all of the chaos that is happening here in the United States. And I'm going to say it one more time. We stand with marginalized people. We stand with black people, Hispanic people, trans people, gay people, Muslim people, anyone who is being villainized in this very moment that you can think of. We stand for them. And I am tired as a white woman not seeing enough white people calling out the bullshit that is happening right now. If you've got black friends, Hispanic friends, trans friends, gay friends, and you are being quiet and you are not calling out other white people when they start saying racist, transphobic, Islamophobic, any kind of horrible remarks, you are equally a part of the problem. We do not need to let other people be comfortable in their hatred anymore. It is our job as any progressive white person to stand up and call out bullshit when we hear it, and to make these people feel uncomfortable enough to go back into hiding or to second guess the things that they are supporting, doing, and saying. And no, we do not have to be close to these people, stay friends with these people, have relationships with these people if they are continuously saying things that hurt marginalized people. I have seen too many white people, the minute their black friends aren't around, feel comfortable enough to sit there and listen to some bullshit that their friend might have to say that is racist and not stand up for their black friend. And then you wonder why black people don't want to fuck with us anymore. I am no longer going to not say anything to these people and be quiet. There is nothing okay with what is happening right now. And so if you are new to my page and you have started following us, I just want to let you know right here, right now, one more time, because I said it a few weeks ago, that this is where I stand. And if you come on this page and you spew any hate or any bull crap and you start talking about these other people, these marginalized groups, and you have no facts that even back up what you are saying other than Fox News, I will block you. That is it.
So this is probably going to be very controversial. I feel more safe in a space shared with black men than I feel very unsafe in a space shared by white men. Now, before y'all get your panties in a wad and get all pissed off about this, when I am surrounded by a bunch of white men, I'm constantly looking around. I have no fear in a room full of black men. The reason why, when I go to the movies, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the movie theater. When I go to my church, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the church. When I go to the mall, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the mall. When I go to my children's school, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the school. Black men will target 1 or 2 or 3 individuals. White men will go schools, movie theaters, churches, your grocery store. So before you say that you're worried about being surrounded by black men, you better think about that.
The United States of America. I think the problem is so bad with the black and white in America that we can never have no understanding at all. Never. You know, look at what's going on now. We don't understand each other. We shouldn't coincide with each other. We can't. We can't. Black people just want to be left alone and let us do what we do. You know. Just look at the Charlie Kirk situation. Blacks didn't have anything to do with that. And you got a whole lot of white people in droves, pointing the finger at us. Why? And for those brothers and sisters that's out there saying that we should overcome and all this stuff, no, them days are over with. Why should we continue to take the high road? I think not. No, we can't all get along. And it's proof, and the proof is in the pudding. I personally believe that integration destroyed us as a people. We should have never tried to integrate. We better off separated. We are better off separated. Drop a comment. Tell me your thoughts.
Black people would die without white people. And quite frankly, they're our only allies that we have in this world. Africans sure as hell don't like us. And quite frankly, they're the ones that sold us into slavery. And if you really think about it, we don't produce anything, we don't own anything, and we damn sure do not know how to live off the land. And with all the dysfunction that is coming out of our communities, I don't think people will want to help us. We as a community need to change our worldview, and we have to be accountable for the things that is happening within our community and actually come together and do something about it. This toxic relationship that we have with white people and this built up anger that we have against them, it needs to come to an end. I'm telling you guys, the people at the top is loving this. As we stay distracted, they destroy our country. True Americans do not care about race. And if you are a person that cares about race, then you are a part of the problem. We live in the greatest country in the world, and there's people out there that would die to be in our positions. And there's people out there that do die to try to get here. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, united we stand and divided we fall.
Hey family, I think I have summed up the relationship between white America and black America in this country. So stick with me and listen. Okay. The white man in this country represents the husband in this analogy. The black enslaved African, thus now matriculating throughout the years to now being African Americans here, is the wife. So you get a husband, representative of a white man, the wife, black people, okay? But before they got married, this husband, this white man, said, you know what, I need a wife. And I'm going to get her in any way possible. Through trickery, lying, deceit, whatever it takes. I want a wife for my own selfish reasons. And so he goes out and he finds this woman who's just minding her own business, enjoying her life. And he comes to her and he tells her, you are going to be my wife. And she's like, no, I'm not. And he's like, oh no, yes you are. He grabs her, puts handcuffs on her, and drags her to his house where there is a person there to do the ceremony and forces that woman to marry him. So now the husband, again, a representative of white America, the wife, representative of the enslaved African who was brought over, was forced. Years have gone by. The marriage, of course, any marriage you don't want to be in is miserable. That wife is miserable. The husband abuses her, hits her, spits on her, mentally abuses her, emotionally abuses her, tells her she ain't shit, she'll never be shit. He doesn't want her to get an education. He just wants her to stay barefoot and pregnant and keep birthing his children. But one day, she has a friend that tells her, no, you have the right to be free from this. You don't have to stay in this marriage. You can get a divorce. So the wife, again, representative of Black America, starts seeking her own education, starts seeking her own independence, starts seeking her own community and friends. And the husband, of course, hates that because now his wife's eyes are open and he's afraid for two things. One, that he will no longer have that wife present for his own selfish gain, to do everything he wants, to be at his beck and call. But two, he's afraid that if she gets knowledge and understanding and wisdom and to know who she really is and her intelligence and her greatness and her brilliance and her beauty, that she will reciprocate the pain, the agony, the devilish behaviors that he did to her, he thinks she will then reciprocate it and do it to him. That, my friend, is an example of how white America has been towards black Americans. You forced us into a marriage, thus slavery. And then throughout the years, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, civil rights, even on up, you have been abusive. And in that time of abuse, you did not want us to learn, so we had to open our own schools. You did not want us to read, so we had to sneak and read. You did not want us to have financial independence, so you all created, the government created something called redlining, where certain banks could only, they wouldn't back loans that were lent out to black people in certain areas. The GI Bill was created to help all veterans and to get homes, but it did not do that for blacks when it first started. So you have, America has abused us and tried to keep us down because God forbid black people know who they are, bond and work together. You have two fears. One is that you will no longer have the control, and then you'll have to do your work yourself. You don't have anybody making you feel superior. And secondly, and I think this is the most, this is the biggest reason why you all still want to be the oppressor, is because you fear that we will do to you what your ancestors did to us. That's it. So I liken the relationship between white Americans and black Americans to the relationship of an abusive husband and an abused wife. But thank God that wife had enough strength and fortitude and gumption and moxie and faith to get the hell out of that marriage. And now she's soaring. We, black people, are soaring. Y'all be blessed.
One of the reasons I started making videos was to address white supremacy. I want you to watch this 2-minute clip. It's important. When he's asked if this is a racist country, listen to his reaction, and then let's talk about it.
But a question that I never see mainstream white political figures ask: do you think America's a racist country?
That's a tough one. I mean, it's a loaded question in this respect. It's an easy question, right? From your perspective, from many people's perspectives. And it should be an easy question to answer. I mean, racism persists in extraordinary ways. Institutionally, it's certainly enshrined in so many ways, and we've been trying to unpack that in deeply meaningful ways. And we're constantly dealing and battling with racism on a daily basis. And we're seeing the assault and the weaponization of race as it relates to all these anti-woke and DEI efforts coming in the Trump administration. So yes, there are deeply racist things that are going on all across the United States of America. Do I think fundamentally in our core, and that's why it goes to a more loaded and difficult question, I think the vast, overwhelming majority of people don't believe that they're racist, and don't honestly believe that this is a racist country, and that's challenging. And how we can communicate a more situational awareness.
But the reason why it's important is because we know that it is, right? Like, we know that it is. We know that the foundation of the country was racism in America is older than America. Like, my ancestors were enslaved here before the English expatriates here decided to start their own country. And our utility in America has never, ever, ever been about our genius, about our perseverance, about our ability to achieve in the country. We've done all of that in spite of an effort on the soil where we exist to minimize us and kill us. And it seems as if we can't quite reconcile that if we don't agree that is a thing.
This is what I've been saying. The interviewer is completely right. There's too many white men in this country that don't want to have this conversation, and I'll be damned if this is the hill that I'm going to die on. If this is the purpose that I'm given in this life by God, then so be it. It doesn't matter who wins, Newsom. You are gaslighting people. You're not a stupid guy. You're not stupid. You know exactly what you're doing. You're playing political theater because you want to be president. But you're unwilling to deal with the root cause in this country, which is white supremacy. The 3/5 clause, the Trail of Tears, the Middle Passage, Jim Crow, Black Wall Street, Asian internment camps. Everybody that doesn't look like us has been shit on. And you don't even have the balls to say it because you want to win an election in a couple of years. Great. Let's say you win. Then what? Racism is still here because you decided to push it under the rug. And that's exactly why we're here as a country. This is our sin as a nation of pushing the lost cause under the carpet. We let these losers that got their asses kicked worship Robert E. Lee, a racist piece of shit, may he rot in hell, because he wanted to own black people. And we said, come on back, whatever, no consequences here, and we just let it go. And we had the perception that we were making progress since the civil rights movement, but all we did was push it back. We suppressed it. We pushed it behind a dam. And then they found their Klan leader. He wears orange makeup and diapers, who cheats on his wife, who's a rapist and a convicted felon. But he's the right type of white man because he says the racist stuff out loud. And he opened up the floodgates on the dam, and all that racism, it all flooded out. That's exactly what this is. Stephen Miller wants 100 million white people. The rapist in chief, right? Very fine people on both sides. Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist in his house. Is Barack Obama, was he born here? Asking for the execution of the Central Park Five, not writing to black people. What do you have? The racist podcaster. Oh, Harris is Black Hillary. She's not black. Oh, the blacks are taking white jobs. Black people aren't smart enough. He's a racist piece of shit too. That's what the DEI, CRT, taking away slavery in the Smithsonian. This isn't rocket science, people. Almost all of the major cities going after are black. When they're doing the ICE raids in Chicago, what is it? It's not white people that are being woken up at 2 a.m. by Black Hawk helicopters and snatched out of their beds naked. No, it's non-white people. LA, guess what? Racially profiling who? Non-white people. That's what this is. That's what it's always been. That's how this country was designed. And we still are refusing to admit it. Mainstream media, left, right wing, they're all doing it because they want you to be angry at each other and yell and scream and rage bait. That's what get likes and views. That's exactly what Newsom's doing. I don't like Newsom at all. He went to the French Laundry while we were in a COVID shutdown and had dinner with his rich, snobby-ass friends. When Xi Jinping came over here, you know what he did? He told all the homeless people to get off the streets so he can make a photo op. Did he fix the homeless problem? No. Screw you, Newsom. You want to be a leader? Fix the damn problem. Don't do it for a video thing. And then what do? You want to go more to the right. So you have Steve Bannon, a convicted felon. Hey, bro. What's up, bro? Hey, man. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Yeah, I know you voted for a rapist, but hey, come on here. Let's find common ground. You are nothing more than a cosplay politician. That's all you are. With your fancy smile and your nice cemented hair, whatever the fuck you got in your hair, God only knows. You're what's wrong with this country. You still can't admit why we're here. It's white supremacy, Newsom. Why don't you grow a sack and actually say that? And then let's have a conversation.
So white people will never leave black people alone, and I'm gonna tell you why. White society's obsession with black people isn't new, it's centuries old. If you think about slavery, colonialism, and exploitation, from the start, white wealth in America was built off the backs of black bodies. Sugar, cotton, tobacco, rice. This wasn't just economics, it was a system where white people's very identity was shaped around controlling and owning and watching black bodies. But here's the wild contradiction in all of this, right? While trying to dehumanize us, white culture has always been obsessed with us, right? They copied our music, our style, our language, our food, even our rhythm, all while denying us basic rights. Think about jazz and rock and hip hop and fashion, all born out of black genius, only to be taken, watered down, and sold back to the world with a white face on it. So why can't they just stay away? Because in a system that is built both on exploitation and envy, distance is impossible. White supremacy depends on keeping black people in place, close enough to use, control, or imitate, but never free enough to threaten the hierarchy. It's a sick paradox, fear and fascination at the same damn time. On a psychological level, it's projection. White folks will project their guilt, their fear, and their insecurities onto blackness, and then turn around and crave the very life, culture, and resilience they tried to destroy. It's like they want the sauce, but not the struggle. Now, to be real, not every white person acts like this, but the system, the way whiteness has defined itself against blackness, makes it so this obsession keeps resurfacing. Whether it's over policing or cultural appropriation or trying to legislate our lives, it always comes back to the old need to dominate mixed with a quiet desire to be what they can't.
You've been told that black Americans are being violently victimized by white Americans.
White supremacy.
White supremacy. White supremacist terrorism.
White supremacy. White supremacy.
Every major media story about interracial violence of the last 20 years has featured a black American being harmed by a white American. You know their names: George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. Whenever a black person is shot by a white person, the media are all over it. Here's the statistical reality. White Americans are significantly more likely to be victimized by black Americans than black Americans are to be victimized by white Americans when it comes to violent crime. The stats are not close. Now, let's start with a simple fact. Nearly all crime is intra-racial. White on white, black on black, Hispanic on Hispanic. The only group for which that is not true is Asian Americans. In 2019, there were 562,550 interracial crimes concerning blacks and whites. 89,980 of those crimes featured a white perp and a black victim. 472,570 of those crimes featured a black perp and a white victim. In other words, 84% of violent interactions involving black and white people involved black people victimizing white people.
So I had some white colleagues ask me what I thought about Trump actually segregating whites and blacks, and I actually told them straight up, like, honestly, I would love that. Now, they looked at me like I was crazy, and they almost spit up their almond milk, and I think they thought that maybe I was saying that out of hatred, but it really isn't about hatred. Here's the thing, I'm not talking about their version of segregation. See, I'm talking about our version of righteous separation, spiritual sovereignty, and black sufficiency. See, the truth of it is that integration was never about freedom. It was finesse. It was a system's way of saying, let's stop them from succeeding independently so we can profit from their brilliance directly. It was about control. And so I want us to be very clear about this. You know, we were never separate but equal. So that's a lie. We were separate and excelling. We had our own schools, we had our own banks, we had our own businesses, and baby, we were thriving. Black Wall Street, they burned it. Rosewood, they bombed it. Wilmington, they overthrew it. Why? Because we were doing too well without them, and they couldn't handle that. And so that's the truth. They didn't really want segregation gone. They wanted control. This is why we know that integration was just repackage of chains. When we were separate, we actually were building and excelling. And when they saw that we could excel without them, then it was like, oh no, we gotta take control and make sure that their labor is profiting us. So right around that time, they rolled out this whole standardized testing, ACT and SAT. Y'all remember that? They created this IQ ranking to measure their norms, not our brilliance. And then we were said we were behind when we really weren't. We were just building our own lane, not asking for theirs. See, I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of tired of the lies. It's very exhausting, you know, just the lies that continue to be promoted. And I want to talk about the melanin, because this whole thing that we're not smart enough, that we're not bright enough, is simply just a lie. And so, you know, all this testing that they're doing, and I have kids in school, and they're made to feel that they cannot achieve. and I have to remind them about their actual superpower, melanin. See, not just your skin tone, but in your brain, specifically neuromelanin, that rich dark pigment found in areas like the substantia nigra, which are critical for learning and memory and decision making and emotional regulation. See, if you don't know, then you won't know how to respond. But when you learn about the studies that have actually linked the neuromelanin to higher concentrations and how it's related to enhanced memory and processing and higher intelligence and faster reaction times, then you know why they have hidden this information for so long. Because when you have higher melanin, you have stronger brain resilience against degenerative diseases. So translation to that is melanin doesn't just make you glow, it makes you grow. So we know that it's not coincidental that people with more melanin have historically been creators, inventors, innovators across every discipline, while also being the most suppressed, because they know that the more melanin you have in your body and in your brain actually produces higher intelligence. So the Bible also says this too in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verses 7. It says he placed treasures in earthen vessels. What treasures? It was in us all along, right? So we have more melanin, and we know that people with less melanin, because it's a recessive gene and it's a mutation, lack the same level of intelligence, of many different benefits that come along with that. What's so interesting about it is that we're supposed to be looking at this as if it's something negative. But why is it negative when every other cultural group does this? Group economics. See, the truth of the matter is they have stolen from us so many different things, and yet we still survive. And so I don't want to offend, but I have to be blunt here. When we invented it, they patented it. When we built it, they banked on it. So everything we created, they made sure they benefited off of it. Just like Louis Latimer, he actually developed the light bulb, but Edison got all the glory for it. And this has been going on through history. We know that Granville T. Woods laid the foundation for trains. Corporations got the contracts. Dr. Patricia Bath revolutionized eye surgery. The system licensed the tech. Black music became white record labels, billion-dollar industries off of our talent. Every time we create, they capitalize. We are the genius, but they control the royalties. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So when we talk about the facts and segregation, I want to be very clear. It's not racist. We have to understand the dynamics of this. See, the black dollar actually is the fastest running dollar in America. So let's do the math here. And I think it's quite funny. Black people have spending power over 1.6 trillion. But guess what? That dollar stays in our community just for 6 hours. While the white community, their dollar stays in their community 17 days. And guess what? Asian communities, it stays in their community 20 days. Jewish communities over 3 weeks. Why? Because we're systemically disarmed from owning what we build. And this is no coinky dink. The scripture said this would happen. So now our dollar does the labor, but the system collects the check. And this is why I support segregation on our own terms. See, that 400 years of slavery is over. And when I say that I want us to be segregated, I don't mean oppressed. I mean organize. Let's build black banks again. Let's educate our babies on the truth, not whitewashed lies. And let's support black farmers, black techs, black healing, black brilliance. And no, it doesn't mean I hate white people. No, it means I finally love us enough to stop begging for scraps from a table we built but never welcomed to. See, the Bible told us about this, yet we hop, skip, and jump over the fact that Deuteronomy 28, 43, and 44 already said it. It says, the stranger shall rise above you high, and you shall come down low. They shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to them. And this is exactly what has been happening for 400 years plus years. We built houses, businesses, schools, and they took them and taxed them to death. But beloved, there's hope, because Deuteronomy 30:3 also says, and Yah will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all nations. So yes, I welcome segregation, because restoration is already in motion. And I want y'all to understand this. We are not asking for more, we're building. See, we were never given anything from you all. I'm not asking to sit at somebody's table anymore. See, I'm trying to go along with scripture and build my people, gather my people, not because they are more melanated, but because we need to know that we serve the Most High and that He's going to take care of us, because separation was never our curse. It was our covenant. And now it's our strategy. It says to come out from among them, be ye separated. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 17. So this isn't about racism. It's about us reclaiming what is already ours.
All right, guys, I know you've watched the clips from the beginning to the end, right? And now here is my take. We all understand that in America, we have the Black Americans and African Americans. Okay, the difference between the two: African Americans, those that are there on visa, okay, and also, okay, just anybody that just traveled from Africa and they have families back at home in Africa. And the Black Americans, they are those that their ancestors lived in America, participated, okay, some of them participated in World War One, World War Two, and literally they've never been to Africa. They don't even know Africa. They were born there. They've been raised there. Okay, all their generations have been in America, but they were taken to America so many hundreds of years ago. They were taken to America as slaves. So those are the Black Americans. And if you look at it politically, on the political side of it, okay, the blacks have always been voting for blue, you know. And when I talk about, okay, they have always been in the democratic part of government, and recently, you know, they weren't in the red, and of course we had some few people that voted red. But anyway, according to the clips that we have watched, if you look at what they're saying, is that white Americans normally pretend that all is okay, there is nothing that is tough which is happening to us. But on the other side, the black people will be like, no. For example, they will be like, no, Trump is a red flag. You see what is happening to the farmers. You see what is happening to the taxes. You see the tariffs. See what China has done to us. It's because of Trump's tariffs, nothing else. See the hospitals in rural America, it has been shut down. The government, it's already day 14, 2 weeks plus. There is a shutdown. The government of America is literally shut down. And that is because Democrats and the MAGA side could not agree. You know, they have to agree so that the budget can pass. And you see, the budget contains all the finances of the ministries, of the departments, of the American people. So if they refuse, if they cannot agree to pass that particular bill, if they cannot agree on the budget so that it can be distributed to different departments and ministries, then it's the people of America will be suffering. And by now, there has been a lot of mass job losses. People have lost jobs in America currently just because of the government shutdown. Guys, some white people, according to these particular clips that we have just watched, they are only waking up because these policies that were brought in by Trump or introduced by Trump are affecting them. Otherwise, according to these clips that you have just watched, if these policies were would not have been affecting them, they will never have woken up to go and work. But since it's affecting both them and the black people, then they are waking up to go and work harder and harder. But someone was like, if these Trump's policies were affecting only the black community, then they will never have woken up. They will never have cared. I don't know how true that is. Probably you can comment down below and let us know of your thought. So America has been in chaos since Trump came in, and it's his 10th month or 9th month as the president of America at the moment. And the biggest mistake I believe he did was to mess with China, because China imports a lot of goods, especially farming products from the American farmers, and currently they are really suffering because Trump imposed 100% tariffs on all the goods that is leaving or entering America, which is a disadvantage to the American community, the farmers. Culturally, okay, I don't know if you are asked the culture, what's the culture of the white people? What can you say? Probably if you look back in Africa, there are so many cultures, there are so many tribes, which of course represent cultures. For example, in Kenya, there are 42 tribes. That literally tells you 42 cultures. And these cultures, they don't resemble each other. They are different. They are unique in their own way. From the dressing part of it, from the beliefs, the myths, the misconceptions, how they do things, totally different. And I believe that's the reason as to why most white people travel to Africa to come and see what is really happening here in Africa. And then in Africa also, so many things are done, so many things are just simple. I mean, you can't even believe how life is so simple here in Africa. It's only that the quality and the standard, I could say, is low, but on the other side of America, I don't think even they have cultural days, something like that. If you look at Nigeria, they're well known for this type of clothing that we call kitenge in my native language. I don't know what it's called in English. And you can even see the president. All the presidents in Nigeria, they wear that particular type of cloth. Kenya is well known for the Maasai culture. It has really been marketed so well that if anyone wants to come to Kenya, they just talk of Maasai. It's really nice. If you look at Tanzania, they are really well known. And also, if you look at Rwanda, Burundi, Central Republic of Congo, they are well known for different things, different cultures. And okay, in short, what I was trying to say, all these countries that I've mentioned, they have people that they have African Americans living in America. So if you try to distinguish the black versus the white in America, you can see the white literally don't have a culture. I've even never seen cultural dances of white people in America. I've never seen their traditional clothes. I've never seen anything traditional in them. I don't know why, but kindly let me know in the comment section. And in terms of the criminal side of it, we have always seen the black people being pushed harder, and they are forcing these statistics to look like the cause of crimes here in America is high because of the black people. And I don't know if you remember, some few days ago or some few weeks ago, the president Trump himself talked about the high rate of criminal in America is because of the black people. And late Charlie Kirk also talked about it, and it was like the black community has a higher criminal rate because, number one, the men, they impregnate women and then they are absent. The kid is left, to be brought up single-handedly, and actually messes up with their growing up. And that is why, okay, it didn't make sense. Of course, it doesn't make sense. Like, how is it related? Like, if I bring up my child single-handedly, the probability of him or her getting into criminal activities is high. Personally, I don't agree with that statistics. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. If you watched the clip up to this point, I appreciate your presence here. I'll see you in the next video.